Hi everyone, and welcome to this backend code walkthrough for our CollegeBuddy application. My name is Devanshman, and today we are going to do a deep dive into the server-side logic for some major new features that I've added recently. This video is specifically for junior developers who are comfortable with Java and want to understand how a modern backend is structured using the Spring Boot framework. We'll be looking at some real code, design patterns, and architectural decisions. Our goal is to trace requests from the API entry point all the way down to the database, explaining the logic at each step. The new features we'll be covering from a backend perspective are group creation, settings management, account blocking and deletion, the admin dashboard, and the password reset. So let's get started. Before we jump into the specific features, let's talk about the big picture of our backend architecture. It's built with Java and Spring Boot, and you can see the project setup in this pom.xml file. This is our API is a RESTful API. Think of it like a restaurant's kitchen that has a specific menu of services it offers. A client application sends an order, which is an HTTP request, and our backend processes it and returns a result. Internally, our backend follows very common and effective architectural pattern. It's a three-layer pattern. So before we move ahead, this is the Spring Boot framework dependencies that you must have if you are working with Spring Boot. Moving on to the, the three-layer architecture. Number one is the controller layer. These are the public-facing entry points to our APIs. They handle incoming HTTP requests, do initial validation, and delegate the real work to the service layer. So this is one of the files that is the authentication and authorization controller. Next is the service layer. This is where the core business logic lives. If you want to know how something works, the service layer is where you look. They orchestrate the logic calling on repositories and other services. Next is the repository layer. This layer is responsible for all communication with the database. We use Spring Data JPA, which lets us interact with our database tables using simple Java interface, saving us from writing lots of raw SQL. This separation of concerns is the most important principle over here. A request flows one way from the controller to the service and then to the repository. This creates a predictable and organized structure that makes our code easier to test and maintain. Let's move on to the critical security feature, which is the password reset. The flow is initiated with a client when a client sends a post request to our API. The request first hits our auth controller.java, which is this file. Notice the controller method immediately calls the auth service and contains no business logic itself. This is called the dependency injection. It's one of the design patterns that I have implemented in this. Instead of the auth controller being responsible for creating its own auth service instance, it simply declares a need for one. The Spring framework then injects or provides that auth service, which is this file, instances at runtime. This is a core principle of inversion of control, or IOC, and it makes our code much more modular and easier to test because we can easily inject a mock auth service during unit tests. Now, Let's open a little more. In the auth service.java, which is this file, we have this forgot password method over here. This is what does the real work. It finds the user, generates a token, and saves it. To store the token, we use Flyway, which is our database migration tool. The file v7 add password reset token.sql defines the new table. This ensures our database schema evolves in a controlled and versioned way along with our code. Next is the admin dashboard. These are protected endpoints for our administrators defined in, where did the file go? In admin service.java. This gathers data from multiple repositories to build a response. We use the data transfer object design pattern over here. An important, this is one of the important patterns that we used over here. A DTO or data transfer object it's a simple class with no business logic, whose only purpose is to carry data between different parts of an application. In this case, between our service layer and the client layer. Oh, my bad. Between our service layer and the client. Notice the service methods return admin stats DTO or user admin DTO. Let me scroll down for you. Here, the admin user DTO. And not just any raw user database entity. We use DTOs to precisely shape the data we send back. This is a crucial security practice, I'd say, as it prevents us from accidentally exposing sensitive internal fields like the password hashes. And it creates a stable API contract that is not tightly coupled with our database structure. You can see more of these simple data holder classes defined in the admin package over here. Now, moving on to group creation and messaging. Groups, let's trace how a group is created by API. Let me pull up the file. So over here, the journey starts at the group controller.java file, which calls the group service. In the services create group method over here, several things happen. A new group entity is created. The creator is added as a member in the group, and then the group is saved. Over here, we are using the facade design pattern. A facade provides a simplified, higher level interface to a larger or more complex body of the code. If you look in this method, we have used facade design pattern. Over here, the group service acts as a simple facade for all the complex operations involved in creating a group. The controller doesn't need to know the individual steps of creating a group entity or creating a membership link and saving both. It just makes one clean call to the create group method from here, which goes to the group service that creates the entire group entity, saves the members, and oh, my bad, save the users and gives it back to the controller. This hides complexity and makes the system much easier to use and understand from the controller's perspective. Now, moving on to the blocking and deletion feature. User control features like blocking and deletion are critical. Blocking is handled by a dedicated blocking controller and blocking service. Giving this feature its own blocking package over here, this one, is a good example of designing for high cohesion and low coupling. In this, the code is tightly focused on one job and isolated from other services. In deletion, a delete request is handled by account controller. Let me pull up this method, the delete account method, and passed on to the account service, which is this file. So this delete account passes on to the account services delete account method, which simply updates a field on the user's record to it updates the field from being active to being deleted and anonymizes their personal data. The record remains in the database, preventing all relationships, but it is treated as uh, a deleted entity by the rest of the application. This ensures data integrity while still honoring the user's request. So again, account controller holds the delete account method, which calls account service delete account method, which finds the user or the user moves on to their settings, they verify their password. And once their password is verified and they click the delete account button, which we will be going on towards in the demo, you will see how that exactly works. And once the password is verified, it deletes the avatar if it exists. It deletes the avatar, it deletes the user, but it's treated as a deleted entity by the rest of the application while we still ensure data integrity for the user. Now moving on to the last feature that we're going to talk about today, which is updating a user's profile. The API endpoint for this feature lives in profilecontroller.java, which is this file that we are in right now. The controller method takes a data transfer object or a DTO like update profile request, which is this one, as it requests body in the profile service over here. As we discussed previously, this DTO or data transfer object design pattern is used here again for security. It ensures that the client can only send data for fields that they're allowed to change, like their bio or their username, and not for protected fields like their role or account status. The profile service.java, which is this file, then takes the data transfer object or DTO and then updates the user entity. In this one, we take the display name, we take the bio, we take the avatar, and the visibility. Visibility is either you want to keep your account private or public. So they take it and then saves it. This is a classic CURD operation, which is create, read, update, delete. It's a fundamental pattern in most data-driven applications. So that was a tour of our new backend features that I added since our last submission. Let's quickly recap the key Java and Spring and architectural patterns what we saw today. So number one, we saw the three-layer architecture for clear separation of concerns. Second, we looked at the dependency injection design pattern to create modular and testable code. On number three, we looked at data transfer objects or DTOs for creating secure and stable API contracts. At number four, we had the facade design pattern to simplify complex operations. Number five, we had the deleting, which is an architectural strategy to delete but still preserve data integrity. And number six, we have the database migrations for managing database schema. Database schema changes in a controlled way, which we saw in this file. I hope this has been a helpful deep dive into not just what our code does, but why it's designed the way it is. Now let's move on to the demo to have a better understanding of the features that we added and how they fully function. Welcome to the demo of the CollegeBuddy application that I've been working as a part of my class project. This is basically a startup that I was working on throughout the whole semester, and now it's the submission time. So the major requirements for this project was to deploy, and that I have deployed it successfully. And today we are going to do a demo. We already did the code review, and this is the demo for the application that I built. So this is the landing page. When you click on the logo, it takes you to the login page. If you do not already have an ID registered, make sure it is a valid .edu um, email address that has been given to you by your school. Once you have that, you can type up your email address. I have already signed up, so I don't have to do it anymore. But once you fill out these fields and click create account, it sends you a verification email. I used my previous institution, which was Cal State Northridge. I used that email address to verify that account to make sure that everything was working perfectly and I could have two different email addresses of different domains that do not directly connect to each other, but they do connect to their own domain addresses. So, for example, if I have two people studying at Cal Poly, they can only connect to each other from within Cal Poly Pomona. And if I have two people from Cal State Northwest, they can only connect with each other and not with any third person from Cal Poly Pomona. That is why it is campus specific. And this is the kind of email that you will get, verified CollegeBuddy account from no reply at collegebuddy.app. This is the domain that I have. I clicked here and got verified, and then I was able to log in. But if you, once you go here, you can see forgot password. If you do not remember the password that you use and if you're having difficulties in logging in, you click on forgot password. It's one of the new features that I added. You put your email address and then it sends you another email that has the reset link that looks like reset your password. Again from no reply at collegebuddy.app. This is the reset password link. It's going to show that it's expired because I did this 3 days ago, but it does work that I tried. Let's go back to the main functionality, back to login. First, I will log in to the CSUN one to show the functionalities that a student has, because I also have, I'll talk about it later. I have another feature um, that made me an admin. Now we are in. So I changed the interface completely as compared to last time because it was not as appealing as well, and it was not as definitive for somebody to use it. So I have home, I have search, I have groups, I have direct messages, profile, and notifications. The notifications come out of here. They don't have a specific tab, but once you have a message or something, any kind of notification, you see it over here. I also added dark and light mode for somebody's if somebody want dark mode, like if they are not as comfortable with operating in the light mode because of it impacts the eyes, they can definitely use the dark mode. So let's start from the beginning. Home, it has your connections. I have a connection from my previous institution who offered to help me to test the app. I have this friend over here. You go back to home. Currently, I do not have any unread messages, so it's just going to take me to the messages tab. But once I have a message, I will show that to you again. The number is going to change. If I have pending requests, as I do not have currently, but once I do, it's going to reflect over here and in the notifications. Moving on to the search, it is very campus specific. So if I search myself, it's just going to show my season one and not my Cal Poly one because again, the domain is different. But if I search my friend who goes to CSUN, so I already am connected with this friend. That's why it's not going to show you connect or pending or anything else, but it's going to show you message. So it's going to take you to the messages tab and hey, OS message test. So I texted OS over here, and once we log out and log in to OS's ID, which he agreed to help me to test the app, we're gonna see it's gonna have notifications and everything else. Moving on to groups. Currently, we do not have any groups over here. I can go ahead and CSUN comp sci. It's gonna be public, so it's gonna be visible for everybody, and they can join. Once I create the group, I will be labeled as the creator. I will also have a group chat feature where I can text in the group chat. All these features will be double checked and monitored once we log into another season email address. Moving next is the messages that we already went through, but once again, this is the message tab. As I click the message bar over here, it's going to take me to a specific message place where I can type and send messages that I did a few seconds ago. Next comes the profile. The profile is currently only visible to you with your picture and everything. But if somebody searches for you, they can see your name and your domain as we searched in the search bar. Over here, I do have the edit profile section. I can choose an image and upload the avatar. I can change my bio. So let me just change to make sure it's working. And again, private profile, only you can look at your profile. Public, anybody can connect to you once you approve it. Save profile, and here we have the changes. As I showed you the light and dark mode, everything is set up in accordance with the guidelines of the dark mode and the light mode to help people navigate better and have better functionality, more towards like having a good color scheme when you navigate through the app. So for now, I'll keep it in dark mode, and I also added a settings bar. Over here, if you block somebody, currently I do not have anybody that I blocked, but once I do, I will also go through that. Once somebody's blocked, they are going to be reflected over here and in your search bar. If you go to settings, permanently delete account, we will also go through this, but I'm not going to delete this specific account. And go back to settings again. I also added a note that your privacy matters and we take your privacy very seriously. And they do have full control of their account. Now moving on to reflect these changes and notifications, I'm going to log into um, OS's email address. I have this saved and let me just log in. Perfect. So I see notification over here in the messages that I texted. I have notifications in here and I have an unread message. I have one connection, which is to Devansh from CSUN. In the notifications bar, you can see Devansh sent you one new message. Once I go to the messages, I have a message from OS, from Devansh, sorry. So this proves that the messages functionality works and all the features are same over here. And again, I read the message and there are no unread messages again. So coming on to the groups, as Devansh created a group, it's visible to OS because he has the same domain as Devansh and he can join the group. As he joined, he got another notification over here that there is a text. So he goes to the group chat and here it is. Now, let me show you the block feature that I added. Block and unblock. So if you want to block a connection that you have, you can go to Home, Connections, go to the drop down, you can block. I already showed you the disconnect feature in the last one, so I'm going to focus more towards block and unblock. It shows you a confirmation block that if you actually block the person, this will be removed from your connections and it's going to prevent you from connecting with you and you cannot even send any message. You have to start fresh again by sending a request and everything all again. So you block the user. It gets removed from your friends. And when you go to the settings, blocked users, you find the bunch over here. You click unblock, users unblocked. Go back again, you search for the bunch, you start fresh. Here it's the pending request that I have. Now, going back to Devansh's account, I have a pending request, and that is from OS. I accept it. I have messages in the group chat. No messages yet because all the history got deleted that I had with OS, so I would have to start fresh. Connections, message, iOS. And once we check, we do not have any blocked users. Now let's go and look at the delete account feature. We are gonna delete OS's account. And once you delete the account, you have to start completely fresh by signing up again, verifying your email and everything. Settings, delete account. And once you delete the account, you will not be discoverable by anybody. So this means you are gonna be completely removed from the database. Before that, let me focus more on the admin feature I added for myself as I am the owner of this application. And I have that feature on my CalPoly Pomona account. I sign in. Currently, I do not have any connections from CalPoly Pomona, but I do have this admin tab, which is the admin dashboard. It shows me the total number of users I have, the number of active users I have, and the number of pending verifications. There are zero deactivated accounts right now, and total connections are is just one, which is Devansh and OS with a CSAN domain. And the number of messages are also gonna be here, the total number of message count. So currently we only have the text that I sent, which was hi OS, so it's only one. Over here, I do have the capability of changing the status from active to pending to deactivated. So if I do pending, it does change over here. This means that you cannot access your account unless your account is verified. But let me not do that because I do have to use that account right now. So this was another major feature that I added apart from block, unblock, and groups. Again, here, I have a CS 5800 group over here. Currently, I'm the only member because not everybody, not nobody else has an account from CalPolyPomona on this one. But all the features are going to be same. The major things that I added in this app after after the last submission was groups and group chat, admin dashboard, settings tab. Let me just look at the list of the features that I have currently. The settings tab, a blocked user page, a delete account, and a slide notification. Let me log out. So before we do, remember we have three different IDs over here with an active status, two from CSUN and one from Cal Poly Pomona. Let me delete one of them to show that it actually changes. We log in over here. Message, iOS. We go to settings, delete my account. So it's going to show you a warning that this cannot be undone. And before you go, just make sure you have all the necessary information. If you have privacy concerns, just block specific users, or if you just need a break, log out and come back whenever you're ready. And if you found a bug, contact the support. I will delete this account right now. Password. It's gonna ask you for your password that you used to log in, and without that, you cannot delete your account. Let me just put the password and hit delete account. Account has been deleted successfully. If I try to log in, email invalid or password, you have to go back again and sign up with another email with the same email. Now, if we log in to look at the admin dashboard, we will see a change in the number of people that we have. So OS has been completely removed from the database, and hence it's not being reflected over here. Now the numbers have also changed. Active users, pending verifications, number of messages. The messages are also gone because the account is deleted. And once they are back or once we get another connection, it's going to reflect over here. Let me log out from this one and show you the CSUN one that OS is no longer a connection. No connections. Can I search OS? No, no classmates found for OS. No notifications. Logging out, it's going to take you back to the login page. That was the major features that I added, including block, unblock, groups, group chat, direct messages, account delete, and admin dashboard where you can manage the users. So this was it for the demo. I hope you enjoyed the demo, and I definitely hope you try out this application. I will have the link in my submission, and the app is live. Thank you so much. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.